Hello, and welcome back to What's Cooking and Gardening 242, where I enjoy sharing garden tips and cooking ideas. But for those of you who don't know me, I am Colette. Those of you who have always been joining me, welcome back. Today, we will be sowing some seeds. As you all know, our winter garden is now wrapping up, and it is now time for us to start sowing our spring seeds for our spring garden. So if you're interested in learning more about sowing seed, I say follow along with us and let's get started. So here's what you'll need: some seed starting mix, trays or something to sow your seeds in, some water, and of course, we are going to need some seeds. So here are some of the seeds that I will be sowing today. So here I have already moistened my seed starting mix because it's very dry. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start filling up these trays with soil. Get those filled up. I'm going to fill this all the way up. A little bit more. Get it filled all the way up there. And then let's just move this out of my way. And we're just going to give this a little tap just to knock out any air bubbles. And we're going to finish fill that up with soil. So there we go, we have it. It's a little bit more, I think I can use there. All the way up. Okay. So there we have it. Our trays are all filled up. And the first one I am going to plant is our Jubilee watermelons. And if you see here on the seed package here, this has some very valuable information as to when you can start your seeds. And it also tells you on here exactly how deep to plant the seeds. So this here say about 1/2 inch in depth for the seed. Let me get these out. As you can see, these seeds are pretty big, and there's two sides to the seed. You see here, there's one here, it's round, and then there's this pointy end. But what we want to do is we want to get the pointed end in the soil. You're going to push that down. I don't want you to be like me, because when I first started sowing seed, I honestly thought that was where it sprouted from. But I was turning my seeds upside down, and I realized that my germination wasn't as great because some of the seeds just didn't have the energy to do all the aerobics so that it can pop up out of the soil. So my seeds would wind up rotting. Another thing that I'm doing here is, if you notice, this is a flat seed. So if you lie it in the soil, this, I guess you can see that, flat like that, what would wind up happening is it can rot. So what we want to do is we want to put it in there upright. So we're just going to go ahead and sow a couple more of those. And you always want to sow more seeds than you really want, just in case, you know, you have insect damage or you put some out. And we're just going to you put some out and they don't do as well, you will always have a couple more that you can go back to. Like last year, I remember I planted my seed and I forgot them out and they got flooded. But it was a good thing that I had some more seedlings somewhere else. So that's how we sow our watermelon seeds. Another thing you always want to do, make sure and label your seeds, because when they start to germinate, because and you're sowing more squash in the squash family, they all look alike when they come up. So just make sure and label your seeds so you can tell which plant is which. So there we have it, some Jubilee, and we're just gonna stick that in there. Okay, now that we've filled the tray and this is already moistened, I'm just gonna give it a quick spray. And we are all done with our watermelons. Now, for those of you who are on a budget, I know you might say, I don't have any money to buy containers, or I want to get started, but I don't have anything to sow my seeds in. Well, this is a half-a-gallon milk jug that I use. I just cut a little piece off of the top, and then I have the bottom half left, and then I poke some holes in there for drainage. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you how I sow seeds in here. So again, what we're going to do here is we're just going to fill this up with salt, just like we did like when we were sowing them in pots. And what you're going to realize as you sow seeds, there are some seeds that need light to germinate, and then there are other seeds that need darkness to germinate. So that is something that you might just want to look up on Google. And there's also a number of other videos on YouTube that will show you exactly how to do that. So it's all filled in there. And what we're going to be sowing in here is some zucchini. And zucchini happens to be one of those seeds that prefer light to germinate. It definitely need light. So what we're going to do is just take a couple of them and we're just going to drop them right on the surface. And these seeds are very thin. And actually it's in a pod. So it almost looks like a leaf, if you can see that. Let's see if I can get that there for you. If you can see that there in my hand, it almost looks like a leaf. So it's very flat. So we're going to put a number of those in, and these, I put those out into the garden very early, like when they get their first true leaves, because they don't really like being transplanted. And then all you want to do is make sure and just pat it down there a little bit so that it makes good contact very gently. You don't want to really bury it, because remember I said these seeds like light to germinate. And all we're going to do is just go ahead and sprinkle a little soil over the top. And just like that, it's done. And I use this little water bottle because I don't want to use a watering can that might just knock my seeds further into the soil down. And that's not what I want. I want it to stay pretty much in place. So now all you're going to do is put this in a nice sunny location and wait for it to germinate. Now, sometimes zinnia seeds take a while to germinate, so you might wait anywhere from a week to 2 weeks, depending on the weather. This one here, because it's in this container, and that's all I'm planting in here, I will just go ahead and label the entire container with zinnias, and then I also date so I can see how long I am watching for it. So today is the 12th, there we have it for our zinnias. Okay, so now here I have some red mustard that my friend Rowena bought all the way from Scotland for me. Thank you, Rowena. I'm definitely going to be putting these to good use. I don't eat a lot of mustard, so I'm not going to grow a whole lot. But for those of you who are religious, you know, they say you have faith the size of a mustard seed. That's your mustard seeds. And all I'm going to do is just lightly sprinkle it because these seeds are very, very fine. And later on, I will show you, just going to pat it in there. Because those seeds are very fine seeds. And the rest I will just put away for a next time. Or maybe I have some garden buddy who might want some of those. You just lightly cover that up with soil. What we have here. Tap it into the ground. And then we're going to give it a nice little mist like we did with all of our seeds. And that's it for our mustard. And of course, you don't want to forget to label. So for those of you who stick along with me today, I am very happy. So I'm going to show you how and when I up pot, because I have some peppers that I need to up pot. The space in the garden is not ready for them. Most of our potting soil doesn't have any fertilizer. And so this is what I add. This is just some slow release fertilizer that I will be adding to my mix until I have an opportunity to put it out there in the garden. Just mixing that in there. And I'm going to fill these up and then you can see. What you might not know is those little pots, the little pots that I start in, they are starter pots and they dry out very quickly. So once your plants start to get its true leaves, and it's going to need a lot more space, because if not, if you see these ones here, these have been in these for a little bit too long and they become they got a little leggy. So I'm going to plant them just slightly deeper than supposed to. These are my jalapenos that I will be potting up, and I'm also going to show you how when you get them from the store, how to separate them when they have more than one plant in a pot. Okay, so what I have here are my seed pods, and you want to take these out very gently. You don't ever want to pull it by the stem because it's very fragile, and if you ever pop the top of it, your plant will be done. So you want to gently break it apart and just shake off as much. I like to use the law of gravity, and you see it comes apart very easily. Take your finger, and or if you want to use your shovel, you can go ahead and do that. So there we have it. It's in there very lightly. See here, I'm gonna put a hole in there. You don't want to disturb the roots as much as you can. And like I said, we can plant this a little deeper just because it was getting a little leggy from being inside here. So let's do that again. You want to turn it out gently. You don't want to pull it. You don't want to pull it by the stem. So I just shake it out, and there you have it. And like I said, the law of gravity does a very good job when it comes to loosening it. You just want to shake it out like that. You can shake off that excess. See, so you see all of that root that was entangled in there. It wanted some room to grow, and that's one of the reasons we're uppotting it, because it gives the roots space to grow, and it also helps with you not having to water so often. So I hope these tips that I shared with you today is enough to get you inspired and starting seeds. For those of you who are afraid to try seeds, you can see that starting with seeds is not that hard, and you can definitely do it. It takes a little bit more patience, but I'm also showing you what to do if you got seedlings. So what I want you to remember, there are some rules when it comes to sowing seeds. One, you want to remember, the finer the seeds, you're not going to sow it so deep, because seeds are normally sown to twice their size, 3 times the most, so that they can germinate. Also, what you want to remember is that some seeds require light to germinate and some seeds require darkness. I suggest you do some research on that, or if you would like, I can do another video telling you which seeds prefer light and darkness to germinate. But as a treat, I will show you some of the seedlings that I have already started. And so here are some of what we planted today. Our watermelons, and we uppotted our jalapenos. We also planted some zinnias, and I have coming up here some patty pan squash. I have tried zucchini and I haven't had any luck with those. So those of you who are very good at growing zucchini, you might want to share some of those tips with me and others that's following. You can drop whatever tips you have down in the comments. We will appreciate that. And then over here are some of my favorites to grow up on my trellis. These are some yard long beans. I have both the purple and the green long beans coming up, so I am excited about those. And I am so excited and looking forward to my spring garden, and I hope that you are too. So until next time, happy gardening. Bye.